Alright, here is the homemade rooftop tent. I was looking into getting a rooftop tent just because I thought the idea was intriguing, where you just put a rooftop right on the top of your vehicle, go wherever you want, do whatever you want, and that's just how it worked. But when I looked into how expensive they were, I kind of put a kibosh on that plan almost immediately, because it seems the cheapest one that I could find started at $500, but it wasn't even close to what I wanted. What was more that I wanted was this shell variety. Those seem to start at about $2,500 and ended about $5,000, which is an absolute non-starter because I don't even have $100. So I decided instead just to try my hand at building my own, and this is the result. I used just wooden parts that I had lying around the shop where I work. So all of this wood is just stuff that was lying around in there that I cut up and put together. I'll open it up and go through it and show everybody exactly how it works. And here it is, open. It's pretty simple. It couldn't actually be any simpler. I basically just built the base. This isn't the base, this is the under the base, and I built this and the base out of 3 pieces of 1/2-inch OSB, because I wanted the bottom to be as strong and sturdy as possible. So I put these down, and I'm gonna put middle there across both of those cross beams eventually because it's already starting to warp. But I just put that there for the moment just to hold it in, just to make sure that it wasn't wobbling when I drove around and moved around, and it wouldn't fall in. And with both of these on the base, it seems to be pretty solid. Then after that, I put these sidewalls in all the way around except for on the back. And the reason I did it on the back is I wanted this pop-out thing, so that I could have a place to put my shoes and things like that, you know, if I was up somewhere camping. For the material, I just used tarps, but it's not just tarps. There's also furniture pads in there. I basically glued glued each one of those tarps to a furniture pad so that it would be insulating, in addition to keeping the wind out. And the reason there's a bulge there is because I put something collapsible so that it would be better at holding the material in once I put this collapse in. And it's also inside, it works as a table to hold it. And though it's all pretty much just muscle power opening and closing, I put these screen door springs on it just to hold it at the moment. They only really engage when it's when you're opening and closing it the last foot or so, just to take a little bit of tension off, because that roof is pretty heavy. The roof I made out of 3 little chunks of OSB. I didn't have a full one left over, so I just cut it into 3 pieces and fastened them together. These things are only temporary. It's all dry and put together because I fastened it together on the inside, but this is just temporary while I was spinning it around doing that. So I'll probably take those off and put straight pieces along so I can put those goddamn that smaller ladder on this thing and don't have to have them stacked up over there because it's hard to get to them. So I guess the next step is putting a ladder up and going inside. Alright, so for the door thing, I just have another very small tarp. It's much smaller than all those other ones. And I just screwed it into the top, and I wrapped a stick around in it and screwed that so that it has some weight on it. And it's designed to roll just a slightly bit and then just fit right in between these 2 sidewalls, and it seems to work pretty well. There's the inside. Roll this up a bit, go inside. Okay. Alright, and so I wanted it to have some insulating qualities, so I went and got this 1-inch foam that's covered with this aluminum foil in order for it to reflect back the body heat. And so that, plus how insulated these are with the pads and the tarps. Seems to keep it pretty damn warm in here. Just like when I put my hand up to it, my body heat instantly just reflects and makes my hand warm. Before I put all this material and stuff on, when I just had basically the shell and the base, I put these two things in and then laid down in it just to see what it would like, and it was pretty cold and windy that day, but it was enough with the one on the bottom here that reflected heat and instantly made me warm. So I figure that in between the two of those things, with all of these closed and with this front closed, I'm also going to put a screen on it, but I'll do that later. It ought to do pretty well. So it's big enough for me to, it's more than big enough for me to sit in here and lie in here and sleep. These pads make it pretty dark in here, but fortunately it's useful to have. That's why this is reflective, so if this is open and the sun is out, it doesn't matter which direction the sun is in, there's enough light to come in and you can easily see it even when I close this front door. But I also put some lights in here. Oh, well, I did. Seem to be gone. I must have put them elsewhere, but I don't need it for today. But I put some lights in here, and they're small little like dollar lights, but it works really well to reflect off of this top, so you can see in it, like, you know, no problem. Oh yeah, and here's that shelf. The idea was to give me some place to, just so I could put stuff down, but also when I go to close it, when I go to close this whole shell, I can just pull it in, and I don't have to push all this fucking material in. It just comes by itself. I put one on this side as well, but because those ladders are in the way, the hinge is still on there, I can fill it in there, but I took the actual board off because it didn't go out far enough with the ladders there. So at the moment when I close it, I do have to pull and push this one in, so this doesn't have that one's capacity, that one's power. So actually I haven't slept in here yet, but I've laid in here for a while when, you know, building it and all that sort of thing, and it seemed to be just totally fine. So I have a feeling that even if it's really cold out, if I come in here with a wool blanket and my sleeping bag, I'll probably be pretty fucking toasty warm. And since I have a shelf in here, I could also use that 2 bricks, a candle, and a pot method to heat it up, but I don't think that's even necessary. It's so damn warm in here. To hold it up, I just cut these things out of wood. They just sit in here and just clip in with these little eyelet holes. It's not the most elegant solution, but it's what I had available because those little eyelets were only $1. This is a repurposed window operator that I operate with this thing. You just stick it in the spoke and spin it, and that opens up and it makes it pretty strong. The other one here is free floating, but I needed to have one of them be free floating so that I could hold this up and just use one hand to open it. Likewise, use one hand to open this when I spin it. And I know this isn't going to go anywhere no matter how much lint is on it because I already tested that. So that's generally what it is. Even though you probably won't be able to see shit, I guess I'll go in here and close this front. You can see how dark here it is initially. And close it all the way so you can still see some light coming in through various places. I'm sure it's not showing up as well as it is in my view screen, because it never does. But when I get that all buttoned up, then there's no cold, no wind, and all that. Even though this is just a, you know, I didn't put any. I wanted this to be as light as possible, so I didn't put any of this stuff, this pad stuff on it. But I shouldn't need to, because I have so much excess here that I just pull these out, and so there's only, I don't know, not even a foot of space in between, which is enough to let in light. But I can also put a bungee on it and pull it together completely closed, and then be basically as warm as it could possibly ever fucking be. Alright, so that's generally the long and short of how it works. So, like I said initially, the price tag for this variety of tent, which of course is going to be better than mine because mine is homemade, made by someone who's not an expert by any stretch of the imagination, and who used basically just recovered wood that I had just found lying around. So, if you used better wood and better construction materials, and what I learned building this one, better technique to build them, it would probably be twice as sleek and elegant and twice as light. But this is what I have at the moment, and I think it'll do whatever job is necessary to be done. And the bonus part, since I did basically have all this wood and these screws and these hinges and all that stuff, the only thing I had to buy was a piano hinge for the front, the tarps and pads, and the insulation, that foam aluminum insulation on the inside. And all of that together, so all the stuff that I had to pay to buy on this cost about $100. I think it was like $105. So though a lot of work and a lot of free, possibly shitty wood that I still have to paint, I ran out of money, so I haven't painted it yet, but I will. So I bought, if I went to go buy this somewhere, either, you know, online or a dealer, it would probably be between $2,000 and $5,000. So what I have is not going to be as good as that, but when it's only cost me $100, I think that I'm doing pretty well, since it still will, from the inside, basically work the same as any other rooftop tent. So I suppose that's it. I will make this into whatever kind of video that works and release it just so people can see what's going on.